Hello, I'm Jeremy Brooks. I'm with the City of Asheville Water Resources Department. We're here today to go over the proper use of a hydrant meter. Prior to doing that though, I'm going to let Jason Hyatt go over the proper operation and location of a hydrant.
You want to make sure that you choose the right hydrant. The color of a hydrant indicates the flow on that hydrant. So you want to make sure that you use a hydrant that is green or blue. Those are good hydrants to use. However, you don't want to use a red hydrant like this one here at the Fireman Training Center. Those could indicate that it's a private hydrant or that it's it would cause low flow in the area. The second thing you want to make sure of is that you check the hydrant before you use. You want to make sure that all the caps are tight and snug before use. And then the cap that you're going to use, you want to go ahead and remove that hydrant, that cap. It's always important that you stand behind the hydrant. This is going to be the safest place to operate this hydrant. The next thing you want to make sure is that you have the proper tool. The hydrants here in Asheville have a house shape, and you need to have a hydrant wrench that has that same shape. You don't want to use a pipe wrench because it could damage the hydrant and prevent usage. You don't want to damage that operating nut. If there was a fire, we want to make sure that they can use the hydrant. The second thing that you want to keep in mind is when you're opening the hydrant, you want to make sure that you open it slowly. When you open the hydrant, a good rule of thumb is to about 10 seconds a turn. And we're going to go ahead, before we open this hydrant, before we put the hydrant meter on, we're going to flush this hydrant to make sure that if there's any debris or anything that might have got put into the hydrant comes out. And then if there's any sediment in the line, we want to clear that out. So you can hear the water, and we're just going to flush this hydrant and make sure that it runs clear. And once you see that the water's clear, you can go ahead and turn the hydrant back off slowly. If it helps, you can count out loud. 1, 1,000, 2, 1,000, 3, 1,000, 4, 1,000, 5, 1,000, 6, 1,000, 7, 1,000, 8, 1,000, 9, 1,000, 10, 1,000. Once the hydrant's off, then we can get back to attaching our hydrant meter. As you notice, there's water on the ground. That's one thing you want to keep in mind is, where's this water going to go? It's getting close to winter time. You want to avoid anything that could cause freezing or ice. We don't want to do that. So if you need to, you can hook a hose up to this and run it to a drain.
Okay, now we're going to begin with the introduction of the hydrant meter, which most of you I would assume are familiar with. That is probably the reason you are watching this video, but we need to show you how to connect both of the ones that we have available. We have a 5/8 inch, which is typically used for garden hose attachment, and we also have a 3 inch, which is available. We will hook up both of these so you have an idea of how they're connected. One key thing with these is to be very gentle with this equipment. This is very expensive and can also be damaged with brute force, just throwing it into a truck. Make sure that you're very gentle with this. Also, when you're connecting these, you want to make sure that you have everything oriented correctly. The meter can actually be in any orientation. There's no concern with that. It will operate in any position. However, the RP must be located directly like this. This has to be horizontal, of course. Hopefully that'll be your hydrant direction. And this relief valve on the bottom, you can see the valve here, must be pointed toward the ground. It operates basically with gravity, so if it's not pointing downwards, it will not operate correctly. Now, to begin the installation of this, you can simply thread this on, and if Noel Campbell would like to assist me here with this, we can get the stand put under. This is a 2-person job. This is the second use of the hydrant wrench. It can actually allow you to attach this securely and without damaging the little nut on the side of this. And this will make sure that you don't have any serious leaks on this once it's attached. That's as far as it'll go. The stand is put here to make sure that this is supported properly. It is a long extension from the hydrant itself. These can bend, cause damage to the thread, so we want to make sure that it's supported in all aspects there. And you do not want to leave these hooked up overnight. Once water starts freezing, if these are attached, it can burst the meter, the backflow itself, and damage the hydrant. So the water must be turned off, and these must be removed as soon as you finish use during the day. Now we're going to go ahead and turn some water onto this one so you can see the proper operation.
Another important thing to note while we're turning this hydrant on is that if you happen to see anything wrong with the hydrant, such as water starts coming out of the ground or there are leaks, you'd want to discontinue the use of that hydrant and contact the water department and let them know that there's an issue with that hydrant so we can get it repaired.
And that is also true with the backflows themselves. If there's any issue, any leak, contact the office. We can replace that with a properly working device and also come out and make sure that the one that you have is working correctly.
And what we're waiting for now is for the air to get out of the hydrant and out of the meter. And once that's complete, we'll turn it off. And then we're going to continue to open the hydrant. It takes 15 complete turns to open this hydrant all the way. The hydrant itself is designed to drain at the base. And so if you don't open the hydrant completely, what could happen is the water could be coming out of those holes and then cause an issue in the ground.
Okay, now the hydrant is fully charged, ready to go, so the backflow and the meter itself are ready. One important thing about these are meter devices, and once you have this thing operating, make sure that the meter is actually turning and operating. And an important part about that also is at the end of every month, you have to call in your meter reading. There are white dials on these meters. There are also 2 black dials at the end. We don't need the 2 black dials red. Only the numbers in white at the beginning. So you call those in at the last day of each month. You can leave a voicemail. That way you won't have to worry about actually speaking to a living person. You can just leave that message, we will get it, and you will be covered. The email address to send this to, if you would like to, would be backflowmailbox@asheville.nc.gov or at ncampbell, N-C-A-M-P-B-E-L-L, @asheville.nc.gov. There's also a telephone number for this, 828-259-5977. So any of those ways would be a great way to get the meter reading to us. Now, this has been connected properly. Everything appears to be working correctly. So at this point, you could attach your hose to it and go ahead and begin operation, anything that you're going to be using it for. Now we're going to switch over to the larger 3-inch, just so you have an idea of how those work as well. We'll have to shut this down and then switch everything over. What Jason's going to be doing here as he slowly shuts this, he's going to be attempting to avoid any type of water hammer. And a water hammer is basically when you have water flowing through something of this size and you slam it shut quickly, that water can destroy whatever's at the end of it. So if we're very careful and shut these things off very slowly, then there should never be an issue with that. As you can see, Jason has slowly and gradually shut the water off and is slowly starting to die here. But one comment I would like to make, the smaller devices all have quarter turn ball valves. These can be shut off and turned on very quickly. You want to avoid using these whenever possible. Our larger devices actually have a globe valve on them, which takes time to open and shut. Always use those. The ball valves actually open and shut a little too quickly. So if you're going to be operating these, operate with this nut here and leave these open so you can use it that way. That way you don't actually slam one of these shut with a ball valve.
And you just want to turn this hydrant until it stops. You don't have to force the hydrant shut. It kind of gets free and then it bump stops, and that's how you know that it's completely closed.
We will now remove this and attach the 3-inch. Most of these actually have a swivel connection, so these are a little easier to attach, and we can make sure that they're oriented in the correct direction. And again, we have to make proper use of the stand. This is much heavier. These probably weigh close to 100 pounds in some cases, so we have to make sure that we've got the stand properly positioned. Again, we don't want to put too much force or strain on any of these connections right here. Noel is properly locating that. Again, you notice the orientation of the RP. The valve is pointed down toward the ground, and we're going to operate this with this globe valve. We're going to avoid these ball valves at any point that we can because these are very quick close and quick open, which can create a serious water hammer. This one takes time. All right. And as you can see, even for a red-topped private hydrant, these carry a tremendous amount of pressure and a lot of flow. So make sure that you're very careful with these and that you're standing off to the side when you activate them. And this one is now ready for operation. Typically, these will use a 2.5-inch hose, and these can be used for any type of thing, filling trucks, watering large areas, large types of irrigation or large types of watering. That is, for the most part, everything we need for the 3-inch, so I guess you can go ahead and shut that down.
All right. An important thing to keep in mind when you return the caps to their proper places, to make sure to look in the hydrant and see that the water has receded. We have dry top hydrants, and that way the water that's in the hydrant drains so that it doesn't freeze and cause the hydrant to break.
All right, and hopefully this has been a useful video to help you in operating the hydrant meters and how to locate a hydrant when you're out. If you have any questions, feel free to contact our office. We'll be more than happy to go over any of this information with you in person. Thank you.